What's up, y'all? This video has been a long time coming, a long time coming, but I think I'm in the perfect place to record it now. About a month after I gave birth to my daughter Eva Luna, I started what I call a real birth series where I gave you guys my whole pregnancy story and my birth story in detail. I owed you guys a postpartum video as well. I kept telling you guys I was gonna record at like 6 months, then at 8 months, then a year, and here I am 18, almost 19 months postpartum, finally recording this video. I hope you are ready because I'm here to give you the real motherfucking tea, all the shit that nobody told me, everything that happened, all the gross details. I'm dead ass. Like, I'm about to go in. I do want to start off by saying this is entirely my experience. This is not to say that if you are an expectant mother that you are going to experience this, or if you're already a mother that my experience challenges or invalidates yours at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm here to give you my tea and to comfort any future moms just in case they are going through some of the things that I went through or am still going through. If at any point in this video you resonate with anything that I'm saying, or you have tips to share with any of the expectant moms that are going to be watching this, please comment below. If you enjoy this video, please like it. If you want more real content like this is like the only content that I know how to create because I am not for the frou-frou. I am not for the bullshit. Please subscribe to my channel. Follow me on my social media. Let's go. Okay, let's start with right after birth. If you haven't watched my pregnancy story and my birth video, go watch it because a lot of this stuff isn't going to make sense unless you watch those first. So, boom, I give birth to Eva Luna in 42 minutes. 42 minutes of straight pushing. You can only imagine what my nether regions were like. I got an epidural that didn't end up working on me, so I was able to get up even though the nurses were like, no, you got an epidural. I'm like, it didn't work on me. So I got up and was able to use the bathroom. The first time that I get up is when my belly like hangs for the first time. And it's weird because I've, spent the entire year with this basketball in front of me, and I'm a very small woman. I'm only 5 foot. So I have like all this skin and this like blob where my baby used to be. And it's just the weirdest sensation. Like, it's literally like just like a flubber. Like, it's just like, and it's like you're still pregnant because it's full of blood and like fluid and whatever. It's just the weirdest thing. So I go to use the bathroom, and right there a nurse opens the door and she's like,
hi, sweetie.
And I'm like, hi. And she's like,
I'm here to show you how to clean your vagina.
You're here to what? So I'm gonna make a long, weird, uncomfortable story short. Because I gave birth naturally and I tore and I had a stitch on my perineum, she had to teach me how to wash my vagina so that I didn't touch the stitch, didn't infect it, didn't touch anything that didn't need to be irritated, and so that I just knew how to take care of my new lady parts, because your lady parts, your vagina, your pussy is never gonna be the same, ever. So what she gave me was a perineum squeeze bottle, which is just like a ketchup bottle except for your parts. It has like a nozzle where you just like spray so you don't have to like touch your, it was cool. She also introduced me to 2 very important tools that I would become very, very, very close to for the next couple of months. Say hello to my best friend's pads. This is my pad that they gave me in the hospital, and these are witch hazel pads. These pads saved my life. So the nurse explains to me that witch hazel, which is a disinfecting agent, it's pretty cool, like literally cool to the touch, it's gonna keep you cool, is gonna be my best friend, and it really was. These are some of the pads that I ended up buying myself. They are by Tux. They are witch hazel hemorrhoidal pads. I'll get to the hemorrhoids later. But what she told me was they come in these like circles. I should layer this these pads, which are cool, and they smell like alcohol a little bit because witch hazel kind of smells like alcohol. I should layer these onto my pad. Now let me show you this pad. This pad is meant to catch the insane amounts of blood that are gonna come out of you. I'm not talking about like a period, okay? Period blood it's sweet. That's why women are doing tumbles in period commercials. Post-birth blood is some scary shit, okay? And no one told me I was gonna bleed this way. Let me show you a regular pad, okay? This is a regular pad. I'm not gonna take the plastic off. It's about the size of my face, nice and pretty. This is the pad that they gave me at the hospital. I kept this for almost 19 months so I could show it to you. Let's hold them both together. That's how much you're gonna bleed. Actually, you're gonna bleed even more than that. At least I did. I used to wear 2 of these at once. One here and one layered right over it. I don't have any more left because I used them all. I actually used them so much that I had to ask the hospital for more, just to give you guys some perspective as to what I was going through. So the routine when I went to the bathroom was put this in my underwear. This whole plastic stays on, by the way. You just take these 2 little stickies off and that's what sticks to your underwear. And also you can imagine what type of underwear I was wearing. I had to buy underwear that was 2 sizes bigger than what I normally wore. Then take the Tux pads. Let's do the science experiment right here and layer them. So I was taking 2 Tux pads at a time and layer them like a sandwich so that when I put my underwear on, it was like a cool little cocktail of healing. Sometimes I would put 10 at a time because that's how much it hurt. Oh, I hope my daughter watches this when she's a teenager. And there we have it, folks. Woo! Expensive. This is what I would wear every day, and I would have to change it out, I think every hour and a half, 2 hours, for the next 2 months while I bled. So back to hemorrhoids. No one told me I was gonna have hemorrhoids. Because I pushed so much, I literally pushed what my mom calls fibers, my fibers out. My whole ass was just outside of me. Luckily, it's back in there. I have, you know, a normal ass now. But from time to time, it does like to speak up on me and say hello. Because of that, the nurse gave me stool softeners along with pain medication, just regular like Tylenol, that I could take every day. So I'm in the hospital, they're waking you up to take your vitals, to give you your medication, to make sure that you're going to the bathroom. If you're not doing number 1 and number 2, it could be an issue. So they want you to drink a ton of water, which is really uncomfortable because every time I went to the bathroom, I had to change this huge pad, and it was just like a whole thing. So amidst, you know, getting in tune with this new human that I just popped out of my body that I've had inside of me for so long, trying to catch up with sleep. I didn't sleep for like 30 hours before I actually got to take a nap. Meanwhile, my husband is curled up on the futon in the birth room, in the hospital room that we were in, sleeping like nothing. So all this is happening with my body. Mentally, I feel great because you're just like, I did it. Like, I actually did it. I actually pushed this human out of me. And now I get to feed her from the same body that created her, grew her, and pushed her out. Breastfeeding was something that I've been looking forward to for a long time. I'm not gonna lie, I was afraid just because of all the stories that I heard while I was pregnant. Even my mom shared stories about how I like ripped her nipples apart and made her bleed, and that's why she didn't nurse me. But it was really something that I was looking forward to. I had watched people like my sister-in-law nurse, you know, my nephew till he was past 1. I'm like, wow, that must be really like gratifying to know that, you know, your body has been of such service to your children, to your offspring. I had help from the lactation nurses at the hospital, but I found that they were a little rough. Like, why are you squeezing my tits so much? They fucking hurt. Relax. So I found that just like spending time with Ava by myself while my husband was sleeping, while there was no nurses around, I kind of got the hang of it. I got to know, you know, which boob she liked the best and how to squeeze myself in a way that was so comfortable for me. But I did definitely take advantage of the nurses that were actually helpful and gentle and asked them a bunch of questions. And yeah, it was starting to breastfeed. I assume it's never easy for anyone. It definitely wasn't easy for me, but it was beautiful. I know not all moms have that experience. I know not all moms want to nurse their babies, so I was really grateful. Huey and I weren't very particular about who we wanted to allow to come see us at the hospital, but we definitely didn't post anything on social media right away because we didn't want like flocks of people coming to see us, and still, you know, people find out and people come over, so you just like welcome them and whatever. But it is like attack, like, how's the baby? Can we take pictures of the baby? Can we post the baby? And we were just like, no. Like, we don't want the whole world to know yet. You know, if you want to come over and visit, that's fine. Make sure that you wash your hands. We made like people wear like the full surgeon suit when they were gonna hold Ava, because I was not playing that. The women who were moms knew to ask how I felt. Not a lot of people asked me how I felt, but you know, it is what it is. I quickly learned that that was something I was going to have to get used to, was not being in the spotlight anymore. When you're pregnant, it's just like,
oh my God, you glowing, girl. What you doing? You having a girl. You having a girl. That's it. You having a girl. Girls make you glow. She having a boy. She having a boy. Girls take the beauty. Girls take the beauty. She having a boy. She having a boy. What type of vitamins are you taking? What are you eating? Are you doing plant-based? Are you still eating meat? Let me know what you're doing. Can I take a picture of you?
and then you give birth and you're in the hospital or home or wherever it is that you are, and you're just this like you're literally a shell of who you've been for the past year, and like that's it. You just have to deal with it. Nobody really asks you, you know, how you're feeling, how you're feeling mentally, which is a whole nother situation. How's breastfeeding going? Are you going to the bathroom? How's shitting? Because I know it probably sucks. But gratefully I have a lot of women in my family who know the deal and who know that I'm very vocal. So if people didn't ask me, I would say, I'm doing great, thank you for asking. So for all the moms who feel like they were neglected, I feel you, boo. It happens. Okay, let's talk about the first month. I'm home. Yes, I'm home. Hey. So you're home for the first time with this new human that you made. It is weird. I moved into this apartment with my husband while I was pregnant. I didn't know I was pregnant. So we've, you know, lived here, and I was pregnant here. We spent so much time here. I went into labor in this room, actually in this exact spot that I'm sitting right now. I had my contractions. It was just very full circle to come back to the place where, you know, you've built this home for her. It was weird, but in the best way. But enough about her. She has enough videos about her. This is about me. I am in so much pain, and I am bleeding so much that I was literally scared. Not only am I bleeding, but in my first month, I experienced a lot of clotting. I was told that blood clots will be normal. I was told that it was just the coagulation of the blood that's in my belly, for lack of a, you know what I mean, my belly. But the blood clots that were coming out of me, it was like I was giving birth every time they would come out. They were huge. I think I still have a picture of the craziest one I had, the one that actually had me call the hospital, because it was literally the size of a baseball. Like, I felt it passing so bad that I had to stand with my legs open so that it could come out. I told you I was gonna give you all the tea, so if you're grossed out, I don't know what you're doing here. And then the hemorrhoids, crazy. The stool softener can only do so much, and you are going to the bathroom. I'm nursing, so I'm eating a lot of fatty foods. I'm eating things that are gonna help me produce more milk So I'm going to the bathroom a lot, and I'm drinking a lot of water too. So I'm going to the bathroom a lot. So this and this, my best fucking friends. When I got home, I also started to do research on natural things that I could do to heal my perineum. And I found a spray from one of my favorite mom baby brands, which was basically filled with like herbs. It was supposed to be really cooling and really healing for you. So I bought it. I forget the exact name, but I'm gonna put it here so that you guys can see it. I'm also gonna link it in the description box, along with the collection of things that I bought to take care of myself postpartum. If you haven't checked out my Amazon store for all the amazing things that I used during my pregnancy, during birth, and after birth, go check it out. I even have stuff there that I use for the baby. So along with all the pain, bleeding, pads, witch hazel pads, perineum spray, I also felt like my pelvis was falling apart. I spent a lot of time sitting because I was home with my baby. Luckily, I had 3 months of maternity leave that I was able to use and stay with her at home, which was great because I gave birth in October. So I had all of the holiday months to be home, and I was being paid, you know, my regular salary. So it was just like amazing. I'm so grateful that, you know, I had that job, that I was able to take advantage of those wonderful months off to bond with her and also to take care of myself more than anything. So since I had so much time, I spent a lot of time sitting down, and my pelvis was literally like, it felt like it was breaking every second. It was very difficult for me to lay down even. It was difficult for me to do anything. I remember I would sleep with my legs in like a butterfly formation, which wasn't new to me because I used to do that when I was pregnant too. But the post-birth pain, yo, real crazy. The first month of breastfeeding, God, so hard. It was easy for me to produce. I was producing enough milk to feed her, so much so that I had left over in the fridge, which felt really amazing. I wasn't taking any supplements at that time, that first month, but what was difficult was just getting used to feeding her from my breast. Sometimes I would produce more milk than she was able to drink, so I would have to wake up in the middle of the night to pump. I use the Medela pump, which I'm also gonna put right here, and I'm gonna link in the description box. I actually got it through my insurance, so if you do have medical insurance, check with them because they may be able to give you a pump for free. I got mine for free because well, you pay for your insurance. The pump isn't necessarily free, but you know what I mean. So I spent a lot of time just like, so I had a lot of time to create content. So I'm on my computer, I got my baby here, I got the pump here, I got my laptop here. I even have pictures like a week after I got home with like Ava on the couch, and I'm like pumping and I'm writing lunation email with the laptop on my lap. Like moments that I never want to forget because I was on it. I had a lot of free time. I'm like, you know what, I have to make use of it. So in my creating content and being online more, and now at this point I'm like posting pictures of my baby and of myself and posting about my experiences little by little, you know, whatever I felt comfortable posting. I posted a picture of what I looked like when I got home. I think it was a week or two postpartum, and it was, you know, I think it was a necessary picture to post because at that point, I was following so many mothers who were posting their postpartum photos, and they were just like, they look like they never gave birth to any kids. Like they look like they've never like been bloated, ever had a period, ever been fat. And I'm like, you know, fuck this. Like I want to post what I look like because this is probably what a lot of women look like. And I know that there are probably a lot of women who are gonna resonate with this and feel comforted by the fact that I look like I just had a baby. So I posted a really beautiful picture of my blob with like holding a rose. Like it was really like romantic looking, but like, hey world, this is reality. And right after I posted that, I started to get emails from different companies. Some were for baby bottles, some were for baby products, but a lot of those companies were for postpartum girls and waist trainers. If you don't know what they are basically mechanisms, wraps that basically wrap around your belly, so to tighten your midsection to promote slimming of your midsection. I didn't do a lot of research on this while I was pregnant because I didn't really care. I am not the most natural person on earth. There are still things that I do that are very conventional, but going back to a certain body wasn't really of concern for me. I was more concerned about breastfeeding. I was more concerned about feeling healthy mentally than I was about slimming my waist. Like, I didn't really give a shit about that, and my husband didn't either. But I did kind of feel the pressure because of these other moms that were posting, you know, these beautiful bellies and 2 months in, 2 months out, and they're holding like their beautiful 2-month-old baby, and they have these like slim ass waists, and they're just mad cute, and I'm like, I want to be cute. So I replied to one of these companies. I'm not gonna name who they are because they're very big and I don't want to seem like I'm shaming them, but I started to, you know, talk about signing a contract with them. What I had to do was basically they were gonna send me this waist trainer that I had to actually wear, and I had to like film and post about my experience, and they were gonna pay me for it. I told my mom about it. She was like, that's awesome. I told my mother-in-law about it. She was like, that's great. You know, two women who, they're my moms who I communicate with daily, that I tell all my struggles to, but they are also two Latina women who are very conditioned into that whole like, yes, you need to snap back after you give birth thing. I've also been sort of conditioned to believe that. So I was kind of like sailing between, should I do it, should I not do it? I do want to look good. It's not that I don't care about what I look like, but I don't want to wear a fucking waist trainer. Like, what should I do? So I ended up scheduling a call with them to talk about what my contract would look like. At the end of the day, I ended up skipping the call. So I went like a few days of like, did I do the right thing? Should I just sign the contract? It would have been supplemental income for me. You know, what would it hurt? It would probably work for me. It would probably get a thinner waist or whatever. So in the pressure, I ended up purchasing a waist trainer of my own, but through Amazon. I'm an Amazon fiend. So I did a lot of research on what would be the best one to buy. And this is the one that I ended up buying. Oh, that's not it. There's another piece. Let me show you how it works. I think this one goes first. Okay, so that's one. Then this one goes, I think it goes down here. To the bottom. Okay, and then this tightens it even more. That's two. And then there's the Big Daddy that goes on top around everything. I don't know if I'm doing this right, but either way, this is how it goes. Now, I've slimmed down some since then, but this is what it's basically supposed to look like. And there's like bars in here. It's like a corset, but you literally cannot move. Now, let me try to sit down with this. I literally cannot breathe. This is what women are wearing after they give birth. So I have crazy pelvic pain. My bone is super soft. I am bleeding like the elevator scene in The Shining. And now I have to worry about slimming my waist with this shit. Can you guess how long I wore this? I wore this shit for maybe a week. I wore it when my mom came over. I wore it when my mother-in-law came over, and they were like so proud of me that I was like taking care of myself. Oh my God, look at you, you about to snap back. Meanwhile, my mental health was deteriorating. I was wearing this shit, I was breastfeeding. It was just like a mess. So I never wore it again. I say that to say, don't feel pressured into snapping back. Everybody's snapback looks and feels different. What that belt is supposed to do is squeeze all the blood and all the fluid out of you and make you literally push all the fat to sculpt your waist in an unnatural way. I am not a believer in it. I've kept it this long. One, because it cost me a good amount of money. Two, because I'll find some use for it someday. Maybe I'll use it while I work out. now that I'm like healed, but I don't know what I was thinking purchasing that. And I don't know how women who have given birth really wear those things. Like there are people who wear it like the second that they give birth, which is crazy and really common in my Cuban, Dominican, just Caribbean culture, for someone to buy this for you as like a postpartum gift. Insane. So all that is going on in my head, and I'm still trying to like be the best mother I can be and welcome people into my home and introduce them to my baby and try to be a good wife. It was a lot. I was happy because these were new decisions that I had to make, and you know, I felt like a I felt like a real woman, like a real, like, holy shit, I'm an adult, like this is my life now. Okay, let's talk the rest of month 1 through 3. So the first 3 months of motherhood, what's going on? Throughout this time, I'm still getting acclimated with my new life and my new body. It's also time for my 6-week appointment. After you give birth, whether you've had a C-section or natural birth, you have to see your OB, your obstetrician. So I go see my OB. She tells me that I look really good, that I have closed up according to her, and that my stitch has fallen out. She clears me to have sex, and I tell her I have 0 sex drive. This is something that I didn't share during my pregnancy video and birth video. I don't know why. I don't know if I just forgot or I didn't feel comfortable sharing it, but I don't care. I need to share it, and I've gotten questions about it. I lost my sex drive when I got pregnant, like zilch, 0, nothing, which was weird for me because I was pregnant while some of my friends were pregnant, and I would talk to them about, you know, my experiences, and they were like, oh my God, all I want to do is have sex. I call my husband to come home because I just can't take it. And I'm like, oh wow, okay. This is something no one told me would happen. This is not something that people talk about. So if it seems a bit weird, that's probably why. I've done a lot of research on it. I've asked a lot of questions to different doctors about it, and it is absolutely normal. I had a lot of conversations with my husband about it, where I was really open about the way that I felt, and I asked him the way that he felt, and he was cool. You know, he has been so supportive throughout this whole motherhood process, parenthood, because he's also a parent, but it's really different for moms, and I don't think that moms get enough credit for, yes, all the day-to-day things that they do for their kids and for their families and for their jobs and for themselves, but also the turmoil that their bodies go through. And not only their bodies, because our bodies hold our soul and our minds, but our souls and our minds as well. I did a complete 180. I was a completely different person. I am a completely different person than I was when I first got pregnant. And that's something that I had to deal with. I had to deal with loss of sex drive. My OB sucked. Her advice was to use lube, and I'm like, okay, it's not about being dry. You know, I'm sure that will fix itself in the long run. It's about, you know, not wanting to. So I ended up doing my own research about different things that I could do, which I'll share a little bit later in the video because it pertains to other things that were going on with my body. So at around 6 to 7 weeks, my breasts, I was still nursing, they started to get really, really hard and painful. It became really difficult for me, not only to nurse my daughter, but to pump as well. I was barely pumping any milk. And at this point, she was having like 5 to 6 ounces. Was it 5 to 6 ounces? I don't know, something between 4 to 6 ounces, which is a good amount of milk, and a lot of milk to produce from your breasts. And I was barely producing like an ounce or 2. It was a really painful experience to go through. I never went to the doctor for it, but I'm pretty sure that I had mastitis. You can Google all the details about mastitis, but it is extremely painful. Like, I was in so much pain. I did a lot for the pain myself. I read a lot about it and things I should do. So I would massage the area. I would take really, really hot showers and baths, so that it could stimulate the breast to actually just pump out the milk instead of just it hardening inside of me. I tried to nurse even more, and that was extremely painful as well. Not only because my breasts were hard, but also because Ava started teething really early. By about like from 6 weeks on, she was already like gnawing at things, so my nipples were like basically bleeding. I had these like rice filled packs that I bought. I'll link them in my Amazon store as well, because they were really helpful throughout my whole breastfeeding journey, that I could stick in the microwave, heat up, and I could put them on my breasts to help, because heat helped soften them just a little bit, but it came to a point that they were not getting soft. They were just super hard. I was not producing any milk. Like, I remember the last time I ever used my Medela breast pump, I made barely a drop, and I cried so much, so much. It's tough to think about. It's a really tough experience. I just wanted to breastfeed. Like, I just wanted to nurse my baby. I wanted to do everything as natural as possible. You know, I was home with her 24/7, and now, you know, I had to worry about formula. Like, now I actually had to like go out and buy sustenance. It was just like the worst thing ever. So that's when postpartum anxiety set in. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been really open about my mental health and my mental illness history. I have been battling generalized anxiety disorder and depression for over 12 years. I've been very open about it, to the point that I advocate fully for it. I speak at events about it. I talk to you guys on here about it. But when postpartum anxiety came around, it felt really different. Like, I could literally tell the difference between my regular anxiety and postpartum anxiety. I was worried. I was worried that she wasn't getting the right nutrients. I was worried that she was eating something that was genetically modified. I was worried about what people would say. I was worried about what my family thought about me. Even though they were supportive throughout the whole process, I was worried about what they really thought. I was worried about going out in public with her. Like, I knew nothing about formula, or like, how do you keep it fresh, or just so many thoughts. I was never worried about her safety, which is something that I feel like my regular anxiety would have been worried about, like her safety or people coming over or germs or whatever. But I was super, like, fully preoccupied with the thought that I wasn't being the best mom I could be, that I was being a bad mom, that I wasn't enough for my daughter, that I wasn't able to produce normally, that my body wasn't acting normally, that I sucked. Like, I was just like the worst. And that like kept me from sleeping, which also like didn't help with the production of milk. I didn't want to eat, or I ate too much. It was something that I always spoke about, or I kept it super private to the point that I exploded. It was a really bad time for me. It was a really bad couple of weeks for me. Really bad. I eventually went to my physical. So after my OB appointment, I think about like a couple of weeks later, I went to my regular doctor and had my physical, and I was honest with her about the things that I was going through. One, I was honest with her about my postpartum anxiety. This was a new doctor, so I told her my whole like mental health history. I told her this is what I was going through and how everything like kind of felt different, and I didn't really know what it was. I told her that I had read a few scholarly articles about postpartum mental illness, and a few had mentioned something about postpartum anxiety, but there's little to no information about it and how to deal with it online. And she like immediately went to, no, you have baby blues. And I had to really defend myself in the office. I was like, no girl, I don't have baby blues. I am very happy with my baby. I'm very happy to be a mother. I have no signs of sadness. I'm just extremely mentally preoccupied with the fact that, you know, I may not be the best mom I could be right now. and that I wasn't able to breastfeed past 6 weeks or almost 2 months. And I had to like really like talk to her about the things that I was going through. I also spoke to her about my weight. I was 185 pounds when I gave birth to Ava, when I had the blob. And while I was breastfeeding, I lost 10 pounds of those 185. So I was 175 when I went to go see her, and I just stopped. Like I didn't lose any more weight. And I know that as you're nursing, you're losing weight because the fat is being used for the milk. So now I was really worried. I was really overweight. I'm only 5 feet, so imagine 175 pounds on my small frame. It was a lot for me, and not only a lot for me, but a lot for my knees. I have a torn meniscus in my left knee. She was like super dismissive. She was like, no girl, you have baby blues. I told her that if she could test me for hypothyroidism, because this is something that my mom has been battling her entire life, and I know that, you know, adds to weight gain. And she was like, no, you're fine. And I'm like, if you don't test me, we gonna have problems. So she tested me, and she gave me a few tips as to how to deal with postpartum anxiety. A couple of weeks later, I got my results from my thyroid test, and according to her, they came out negative. But then I did more research and found out that physicians only test for a few of the aspects that you're supposed to test for when you do thyroid tests, and that I should really go see an endocrinologist, which I haven't done yet. And now at this point in my postpartum journey is that I'm actually looking for an endo in my insurance that I could go see, because I'm concerned about a few things. I'll talk about that at the end of the video because it's more important at the end. And for my postpartum anxiety, she gave me a few tips that I was able to implement, really simple things. What I did that was major was unfollow all the perfect moms that I told you guys about earlier in the video. All the moms that are like,
Dinner's ready. My makeup looks so perfect. My waist is so snatched. #snapback. Hanging out with all my mom friends.
bye. And I started to follow real moms that were posting real photos of themselves, even in their struggles, or even talking to the moms that I already followed and asking them questions and being honest about my own experience so that I could build community around that. I'd always built community around honesty, especially about mental health and spirituality, but this was a whole new world for me. So I started to talk about motherhood as well, and that has just been the most amazing and most supportive thing ever. And lastly, I decided to finally get professional help and start seeing a therapist again. Making the decision while you're in that state is also really helpful, because you know, you're accepting the fact that, you know, you're in this place and you need help, and there's nothing wrong with it. I had the awesome opportunity to share my story for Healthline, so make sure that you head to the description box to check out my article about the 5 things I wish I knew about postpartum anxiety before being diagnosed. So with all that said, 2 weeks after I stopped nursing, guess who came back? My period. Like, I just spent 2 months in what felt like an episode of the Red Wedding of Game of Thrones, and now I get my period back. And it is the craziest period I've ever had in my life. It almost feels like I have to wear this again. I've tried so many different things. Pads, super tampons, cups, nothing works. So I'm just doubling up on pads, wearing tampons and pads. Like, it's been such a journey with my period. I'm finally at a point now where I'm comfortable with it and I know what to do on certain days. It is super, 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 super regular. And that is only because I started to take adaptogens. Let me put up a wonderful definition of what an adaptogen is right here. So I started taking 2 adaptogens, one for my mental health and my sex drive, which was still super low, and one for hormone balance. This one's called ashwagandha, and this one's called shatavari. And I've been taking them ever since, and they've been really helpful in helping me manage my anxiety and my depression, and also regulating my hormones so that my body can get back to normal in a way that wasn't super traumatic for me, and so that my period gets regular And I feel like it's even not lessened, but evened out a bit, so that I didn't have like 2 days where it's just like now I have like an even spread period where like I get it on the exact day I know I'm gonna get it, and then it's just like I have it for 6 days and then it's gone. So definitely recommend the ashwagandha, shatavari, adaptogens as a whole. I have a video that I filmed about that and my diet and everything, which I will put up eventually. When I do, I'll link it in the description box and throw it up here. But yeah, do your own research on them. They are completely natural. If you want to talk to your doctor about them, you can, but they're in so many different products now. They've become super trendy, which is cool, but I would look into what's real and not the frou-frou stuff that's super overpriced. The ones that I take, I'm gonna link in the description box below. All right, months 3 to 6. These are crucial months. Listen up. So the pain is finally subsiding. My pelvis still feels like jello, but I don't know. I just kind of dealt with it. Sex drive, still trash, period. Evening out, still taking adaptogens. My hair was so long, I looked like a Neanderthal. Not only was it super long, but it was dull, it was dry, it was scraggly, and it started to fall out. My hair started to fall out around like 5 months postpartum, which up until that time, I thought I was safe. I'm like, my hair hasn't fallen out, it's lit, I'm good. I low-key always wanted to have long hair. I've never had long hair, so it was super long. It was like up to here, which is like, for me, super long. My hair is like very resistant to growth. So I just kind of let it be, but it was just like disgusting. Because I was dealing with postpartum anxiety and just like the anxiety of having to leave my baby, I ended up extending my maternity leave for 4 weeks. So I was in total off from work for 4 months. Once those 4 months were up, it was around the end of January and I had to go back to work. Like, I had to go back to work. That was an extremely stressful period for me. Not only the fact that I had to mentally prepare myself to go back to work after, think about it. I left work and I was pregnant. I was happy, I was excited, I was anxious, I was gonna have a baby. Now I have this whole human with me. I wasn't ready and I wasn't happy. Also, throughout my time at home, I had had really difficult situations with certain individuals at my job who didn't really make my maternity leave pleasant at all. I'll talk about that in a second, but just preparing for that was horrible. One of the main reasons that we were so stressed was finding childcare. We are obviously first-time parents. We had no idea what to do. The first thing you think of is like, what did my parents do and what did his parents do? We had people that we could stay with. I stayed with my mom. My mom did not work until I was 2 years old, so I was spoiled. My mom did not work until I was able to like go to school. And then Huey also stayed with his parents, I believe. And then when we weren't with our parents, we had grandparents we could stay with, but our parents are fairly young. They're in their early, 50s, mid-50s. So they have jobs, they have whole lives to live, and we didn't really have anyone to watch Ava. We still don't. Like, they watch her on weekends when they can. So after a long time of like overthinking, I made an account with care.com. Long story short, we ended up with an amazing nanny. She was so awesome. Not only was she awesome, but she literally lived in the building next to us. I ended up searching by proximity and by experience, and she literally lived next door. So she used to show up here in like comfy clothes, sweatpants, which was great because she was able to like, get on the floor with Ava. But she was awesome. I will say having a nanny was so fucking expensive. After 3 months of like really reevaluating, we let her go and we decided to put Ava in daycare. They have become an extension of our family to the point where, the lady who owns the daycare, she's like, if you ever need me anytime other than regular daycare hours, you have my number, which is like amazing. So if you're a mother or father or expecting and just worried about transitioning into going back to work or daycare, nanny, just take a second. My best advice is to do your research. Go call people, FaceTime, meet with them, go to these places. You have to go and see what's going on. Bring your kids with you too. Kids are pure in spirit. They can sense evil, they can sense everything. Take your kids with you because their response will tell you if that's the place that you're gonna put them or not. Before we picked the nanny that Ava was with for 3 months, we met with a woman who came to the house, and we were able to introduce Ava to her. And Ava's like cool. She's always been a cool baby. She's very social. She's just like awesome. And as soon as the lady walked into the room, Ava started wailing, crying. Like, I've never heard her cry like that before. And I remember leaving, like being excused and saying that I had to use the bathroom, and I went to the bedroom and just cried and cried and cried and cried because I was so stressed about not finding a nanny. So eventually the lady left and Ava calmed down, and I was like, yo, kids do not lie. So on the flip, when we brought her to the daycare, she was like playing and like touching everything, and she was hugging the owner of the daycare. So moral of the story, don't be stressed, do your research, go visit, and take your kids with you because your kids are gonna tell you the truth. Okay, back to me. I'm at work, I'm depressed. I'm really depressed. I'm really sad about being back in a routine that separates me from my child. Not only that, but I'm at my job that I've always loved and I now hate. I felt like I went back to work and certain people were treating me as if I had punished the company by leaving to go have a child. There were certain meetings that I would walk into or sit in on, and they'd be discussing something that I wasn't there for, that I was obviously out, while they met about this certain thing for the first time. And certain people would just be like, well, while you were out, like if I was in Turks and Caicos or something, or since Melanie was out having a baby, like, it is my human right to have a baby and to go on maternity leave, and also to extend my maternity leave. That's no one's business but mine. I'm here now, what's up? I'm here to help you, but don't treat me like I'm punishing you, like I've punished you at all. I felt terrible. All I thought about was my daughter. I really just didn't want to be there anymore. My mental health was really poor, really, really, really poor. I talk about that all in my major manifestation video about what manifested for me at the end of 2018 into 2019. So go watch that for the full tea about how I got here. If it wouldn't have been for the few very supportive family and friends that checked up on me even when I didn't hit them up, who called and visited to check on Ava, but also called and visited to check on me and Huey, that helped so much. And I don't even know if I've told them how appreciative I am for them doing that throughout that crucial time in our transition into parenthood, but really helpful. If you don't have friends and family that you can rely on like that, there are so many groups and so many gatherings everywhere, all around the United States, all around the world. Please do your research and find places that you could immerse yourself in where you're supported in that way. Parenthood can be very lonely, especially motherhood, because you're going through it mentally, physically, and spiritually. Which brings me into months 6 through 12. So this is the end of your first year of motherhood. Okay, at this point, pain has subsided. Yay! I only get a reminder of pelvic pain when I go get a bikini wax or when I go get a Brazilian wax. And when they wax, then they put their hand on there to soothe the pain. And my esthetician is, I don't know if she's heavy-handed or like if that's the way she's always held me down there, but when she presses, it's just like, oh my God, please no, it hurts so bad. My hair continued to fall out so bad that I was like, fuck this, I'm cutting it. And I started to chop and chop and chop and chop until I got here. My hair is actually long right now compared to how short it was a few months ago, and I'm planning to go even shorter. At this point, it's still falling out a little bit, but I feel like I've come to a point in my health journey postpartum that I've gotten better. My hair's not falling out as much as it was before. And I don't know why. That's why I want to go see the endocrinologist to do test my levels and see, you know, what's going on internally. But my hair has finally stopped falling out in clumps. I continued taking my ashwagandha and shatavari. Sex drive was still hard. Like, we had to really push. It's a really difficult thing that not a lot of people talk about. And sex is important. Sex is important for your personal health. Sex is important for your relationship health. It was something that, you know, it really meant a lot to me. Thankfully, you know, like, my husband was supportive throughout the whole thing. And, you know, it's still somewhat of a process, but you have to give yourself time. The low sex drive was a big reminder that it takes a year. It takes a year to be pregnant, and it takes a year or more to get back to some sort of normal or a new normal for you. Along with that came weight. My weight was still really high. I was still at that 175 mark, but I started to do different things to feel healthier. So it wasn't even about like being heavy. It was more about like I had no energy. I felt unhealthy. I just felt like, so I tried so many different things. I changed my diet a bunch of times. I did colonics. I did lymphatic massages. I did infrared saunas. I did no dairy, no meat. I've just done a plant-based diet. I've done so many things. At this point right now, at 18 months postpartum, I finally lost 30 of those 50 pounds. But it has taken me literally 18 months to lose it. That's why I say you really have to hone in on that fact that it takes a year. It really does take a year. That's the only advice that I was given, unsolicited or not, that has actually been 100% correct. So please be patient with yourself. It really does take a year or more, because I'm way past a year. I absolutely love everything about being a mother. I love everything about it. I love my daughter. I love the sense of power that I have now. I love the confidence. I feel like I can do anything. In the same breath, it has changed everything about my life. Like, nothing is the same about my life. Literally nothing. Not me, not the people around me, not the things that I used to like to do, not the things that I like to do now. Nothing is the same. It's been cool to see how, you know, my life has evolved and how I've welcomed all these new things, just my new life as it is. For a long time, you feel like a fish out of water because everything is new. Even the people around you start to change, and you know, the things that become unnecessary to your life and to your growth start to either change or wither away. I've seen so many relationships that I thought would be in my life forever turn to dust, which has been really uncomfortable for me to deal with. Like, it even makes you feel a little bit guilty. And you start to think ridiculous things like, damn, should I have reached out more? Should I have sent more pictures amidst the pain and the anxiety attacks and the blood clots and just the feelings of like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing? People are there for the pregnancy, again. They are there to tell you that you're glowing. They're there to support you. They're there to give you, you know, advice whether you want it or not. And then, you know, most times once you have the baby, it's just like, oh my God, they're so beautiful for like the first couple of months. And then it's just kind of like, whatever, you know, I'll like your photo when you post it on Facebook. And that's not the type of support that parents need. I'm finally now getting to a point where I'm kind of just like, okay, whatever, you know, I am actively releasing things that no longer serve me. And if that means that you're out of my life, then you're out of my life. But it has been really lonely dealing with relationship changes in motherhood. On the flip, I now have so many new fortified bonds with people who I never thought would have been so supportive of me, not only in my motherhood journey, but in my personal journey. People that I meet online, you know, it's crazy that people that I meet online are even more supportive than people who have been in my life all my life. But it is what it is. The universe works in mysterious ways. You gotta trust it, and you gotta trust your gut. And then there's people who have been there through thick and thin. Y'all know who you are. I love you. Okay, 1 year plus, yay! Right now, today, I am 18 months postpartum. I will be 19 months postpartum in 10 days. Physically, I feel amazing. I feel the most amazing that I've felt since before I was pregnant, and it has taken me again so long to get here, but I'm so proud of myself and I'm just taking it one day at a time. Today, right now, as I film this, today is my last day of my whole Glow 40 journey. So I've been eating only plant-based foods and very minimally processed foods for the past 42 days in order to cleanse my mind, body, and soul. And throughout this whole process, I have not only lost weight, but I've lost stress. I've gained a more special spiritual connection. I'll post the video of my recap when I do my whole Glow 40 recap here and in the description box. But if you want to watch along, I filmed weekly video journals. That was just 40 days of the 19 months that it has taken me to get here. So be patient on the physical journey. Whether you wear this or not, take it a day at a time. Spiritually, I feel, again, like I can do anything. I feel like a goddess. Mentally, I feel so much stronger since I've been seeing my therapist. I feel really good. I feel really proud of myself for having committed to someone again. I feel really happy that I have found the one. Finding a therapist is like dating, so it's gonna take you probably a few appointments, a few consultations until you find somebody that you're really comfortable with. Not only comfortable with, but someone that works for you, that, you know, speaks in a language that works for you. And I found that, so I feel really good. She's introduced me to so many different types of coping mechanisms that I now use daily because, you know, my anxiety is always there and depression comes for me sometimes. It's something that's inevitable, but now I feel like my toolbox is full. Like I'm armed and ready, you know, regardless of what happens. My sex drive is back. I mean, it's different than it was before, but it's back. And I'm happy and I'm not complaining and I'm not gonna talk about it because it's good and that's all y'all need to know. I'll be 30 a month from today and I'm just mentally thanking myself for all the work that I have done, for all these seasons that I've gone through in my life, and for just being the best that I can be, being the best mother that I could be. I spent so much time doubting what I was doing and doubting knowledge that came from me. There are certain things that like you can't Google, you just have to trust yourself. And I spent so much time doubting that and persecuting myself for like probably doing the wrong thing when I should have probably just been loving myself. I think that's the best advice that I could give any mother going through her postpartum journey, is to just love yourself more. You need more love than ever. You're gonna go through things that no one told you you would go through. You're going to feel things that you never thought or you were scared to feel, and you kind of just need to do it and deal with them. If you feel like you need to see a doctor, go. If you feel like you need a mental health professional, go. There's no shame in your postpartum wellness game, like at all. Do whatever you need to do to thrive. Do whatever you need to do to keep your kids and your relationships and yourself healthy and thriving, and just try to keep that light on. But know that if you don't feel bright and happy and cheery and you don't want to post pictures of your kids and you don't want to go out and you don't want to talk to people, it's also okay. Just make sure that you are taking care of yourself the way that you need to be taking care of yourself. That dog seems to agree with me. A big portion of taking care of yourself and pushing forward on your wellness journey is going to be explaining the way that you feel to the people around you. Just be sensitive to the fact that people probably have no idea how you feel. So don't take it personal when they don't hit you up, or don't take it personal when they do and they ask for the baby first, or don't take it personal when they tell you you'll be okay. They probably don't know what else to say or how to help you. So just be calm, take a breath. And if they're really close with you, maybe it's someone in your family, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's your employer who you need to sit down with and explain, hey, this is what's going on and this is the type of support that I need. Never be afraid to ask for help. Asking for help while you mentally cope with something or while you learn to process something is okay too. All right, that's all I have to share right now. If you want more content like this and you want more of me talking about my experience or sharing tips about what's helping me, make sure that you follow me on Instagram. That's where I am the most active day to day. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel for more honest content like this, and share this video with any new mom, new parent, expectant mother who may need to watch this, who may need the real, you know? There's a lot of fluff out there, and again, I ain't here for the fluff. I hope at least one thing I've said has helped you. If it has, or even if you have any tips or comments, or you resonated with something that I said, please share it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and best of luck on your journey. Remember who the fuck you are, an unapologetic goddess.